This week at the movies, a shocking disagreement on the Twilight Saga, Eclipse.
Are you Team Michael or Team Tony?
You have to consider the idea that I might be better for her than you are.
Also coming up this week,
I always knew you returned.
M. Night Shyamalan directs an elemental battle in 3D with The Last Airbender.
To an unconventional family.
We've got an early review, and it's one of my favorite films of the year, The Kids Are All Right, starring Annette Bening and Julianne Moore.
Buddy, I thought you were gonna start working out. What does that mean? You're fat?
Plus, we take a look at Adam Sandler, Kevin James, and Chris Rock in Grown Ups, and Helen Mirren in Love Ranch.
Why are you so against me becoming like you?
I know the consequences of this choice you're making. After a few decades, everyone you know will be dead.
You wouldn't have to change for me, Bella. I'm in love with you, and I want you to pick me instead of him.
Will Edward and Bella set a wedding date? Will Jacob put on a shirt? The answers are about to be revealed. I'm A.O. Scott of the New York Times.
And I'm Michael Phillips of the Chicago Tribune.
The last Twilight movie, New Moon, was all about longing, brooding, and delayed gratification. Michael and I both liked it a lot, which shocked some of you last fall. Well, guess what? At least for me, the new Twilight movie, Eclipse, directed by David Slade, is even better. More eventful than either of the first two movies for sure, and also dramatically richer and quite a bit funnier. If you're into the monster politics, there's an alliance forming between the werewolves and some of the vampires who get together to fight off some vicious bloodsuckers called newborns.
It's starting.
And of course, there are some blurry CGI action sequences.
On your left.
All of which is fine as far as it goes, but of course what we really want to see is the latest installment in the romantic triangle involving Bella Swan and her two beaux, the pale-faced, hollow-cheeked Edward and the pectorally and abdominally gifted Jacob. Which team are you on?
Doesn't he own a shirt?
I'm good here. You should go.
I'm not gonna be gone long.
Don't rush. Or maybe rush a little bit.
Hey, beautiful.
Hey.
Neither Taylor Lautner as Jacob nor Robert Pattinson, who plays Edward, is really much of an actor. But Kristen Stewart, who plays Bella, has some serious gifts, and her performance is the key to Eclipse and to the Twilight series as a whole. I like the way the three-way love story became more complicated and intense here without sacrificing the supernatural soap opera mumbo-jumbo that gives this series its pop culture kick. So I say, see it.
I say skip it, Tony. I don't know.
You are just embarrassed
no, I
because
am
last
not.
fall
I'm not.
you're trying to walk away from your embrace of this series.
I walked toward my half-hearted endorsement of the first. No, I did enjoy the first two.
So
and
what's wrong with
here's
this
the
one?
thing. Everything I heard about the second installment, New Moon, that it's ponderous, that it's slow, that it's really much more about this sort of like heavy emo isolation of Bella Swan, and that basically that it didn't go anywhere. That's how I felt about this one. I know there's more action and there's a lot more wolf attacks and things like that, but this director, David Slade, is by far the weakest guy to deal with this soap opera material, and everything from the action to all these individual sequences where you have to kind of just triangulate this relationship again and again and again. No, hold on.
Okay.
It's just, everything is paced like nothing has any dramatic peak or valley. It is just bump, like even soap opera glacial.
No,
worse than that. I thought.
You're wrong. It shows both more melodramatic intensity and more comic self-awareness than either of the other two, because this triangle is not just the stuff of great supernatural melodrama. Will she go with the warm-blooded werewolf boy who loves her, or the cold immortal man who she loves?
We know the answer.
We know the answer. A lot of fans may think it's the wrong answer. I was definitely, we saw this in a Team Jacob stronghold, I think,
yes, it was.
here in Chicago. But,
We did.
but that's also the structure of classic romantic comedy, and there's a
No,
lot
don't
of
even,
wit
hold
and
on.
humor in
Don't
this.
even bring
Yes,
up
there is.
the fact that you bring up the phrase classic romantic comedy in the context of a scene that's paced and staged with this sort of flair. Watch this.
Why haven't you called me back?
I had nothing to say.
Well, I have tons. Hold on.
Oh.
Edward, you have to trust me.
I do trust you. It's him I don't trust.
You never got a scene that dull in either of the first two. I like the first two for Kristen Stewart, but even here, she seems like less of a good actress.
I thought that scene was full of tension and passion and feeling, and you don't even mention
it was full of something.
The scene in the tent. I mean, that's one of the great scenes of erotic complication in all of teenage vampire movie history.
You have gone over the bend on this. I was only halfway over the bend on the first two, but I like the first two, not this one.
Coward. We'll continue the Twilight discussion on our website, where Ann Thompson from IndieWire.com will be joining us to break the tie and tell us if she's Team Michael or Team Tony. Just click on Web Exclusives.
Okay, next movie. After The Sixth Sense and Signs, the writer-director M. Night Shyamalan went into a creative tailspin with fables like The Lady in the Water and The Happening. He ventures into brand new territory for him with the big-budget, effects-driven fantasy The Last Airbender, which is based on a pretty cool animated series broadcast on Nickelodeon between 2005 and 2008, and that's about how long these 95 minutes feel.
What is this?
Anyway, the Fire Nation is here.
Okay, so you've got four kingdoms: the Fire Kingdom, water, air, earth, although there's an unofficial fifth world overrun by impenetrable, rock-hard exposition. Nobody can conquer that. After proper training, warriors can bend the air and fire and water and earth to smite their enemies in battle. The spiritual leader of this fantasy world, the Avatar, keeps the world in harmonious balance, but he's gone missing for 100 years, and the Fire Lord has taken over everything. His exiled son is played by Dev Patel of Slumdog Millionaire. And in that scene, also featuring Nicola Peltz, we're reminded that water can usually take care of fire as long as it's not a grease fire. Aang, the airbender of the title, is played by Noah Ringer. And I'm afraid none of his feats of wonder are in any way wonderful. The movie has alarmingly little magic in 3D. It's even more like 1D. And the casting's dubious. Why are the good guys all Anglos and the fire people all stereotypically swarthy? Shyamalan, who I believe and hope will make a good movie again someday, cannot come close to activating this franchise launch, which I'm afraid feels more like a sinking skip it. You?
Oh my gosh, skip it, yes. And I have to say, your explanation of whatever the heck is going on in this world was so much clearer and more concise and even more dramatically compelling than anything on screen that I
Thank you very much.
Props for that. But I have to say, leaving aside the ponderous exposition, the humorless performances, just the deadening dullness of this world,
yes,
3D is just not the medium for this director. If you think about what Shyamalan did in his better movies like The Sixth Sense, and even in some kind of dumb ones like The Village or Signs, he's a master of the implications of the unseen, of getting you to think about what's not on screen. But 3D is only ever about what's right there in your face in front of you.
I think, too, when you look at the best moments in The Sixth Sense and Signs, which I like Signs quite a bit, those are all very quiet 2-3-person scenes where you have sort of a sense of another world that is hidden, as you say, and this project is all about marshaling extras, like corralling all the CGI, and he just doesn't have he struggles in a way that I haven't seen a movie maker struggle with exposition and just telling the story clearly. Since David Lynch was wrestling with Dune, and you had to hear all those voiceovers about the worm is the spice,
but
and here's like the air bending and
no director should ever again make a movie where like flames fly out of someone's hands. That's just a bad decision.
I agree.
Coming up next, the movie of the summer by far, and maybe of the year so far. We have the early review of The Kids Are All Right.
He's not a father.
Great to meet you.
Go easy on the wine, hon. Stay tight.
Okay. Same goes for the micromanaging. Okay.
So, how'd you two meet?
I was a resident, and Jules had an emergency. Actually started teasing me, and that really helped. I was trying to distract her. I know, it worked. You were really funny. You were really pretty.
Sitting around that dinner table are Mark Ruffalo, Annette Bening, Julianne Moore, Mia Wasikowska, and Josh Hutcherson. They're pretty much the whole cast of The Kids Are All Right, a sharp comedy about a complicated family. This movie is a whole lot better than All Right. It's terrific. It opens in limited release next week, and this is an early review. Moore and Bening are Jules and Nick, a California couple with 2 teenage kids and a long-term relationship that's stable and loving, but also subject to the usual midlife frustrations. There are also some awkward parenting moments of a kind that Dr. Spock never anticipated.
Are you having a relationship with someone?
I only met him once.
What do you mean, once? Did he find you online? Wait.
What?
Wait, who did you meet once?
Paul.
Paul? Who's Paul?
I met him with Joni.
Why was Joni there?
She set it up.
Forget the setup. Who's Paul?
Our sperm donor. Did you guys think I was gay?
Ruffalo's character, Paul, was the sperm donor who is, technically at least, the father of Nick and Jules' children, Laser and Joni, although no one in the family has ever met him. The kids contact Paul out of curiosity, and his sudden arrival in their lives and their moms' lives is both exciting and uncomfortable.
I just keep seeing my kids' expressions in your face.
Really?
Yeah, like that, like, really? Like, yeah, that's like Laser.
The performances here are outstanding, Benning's in particular, and director Lisa Cholodenko, who wrote The Kids Are All Right with Stuart Bloomberg, is sharply attuned to the manners and speech patterns of contemporary America. Whatever the facts of your own family life, you're likely to see some of it reflected in this wonderful movie, which you should see as soon as you can.
Oh, see it, absolutely. No film, Tony, has left me with a fuller sense of satisfaction this year so far. And it's the kind of American indie that we'd be lucky to get once a year in the old days, and it feels like it's been longer than that now. Not really since You Can Count on Me with Laura Linney and Mark Ruffalo, in fact.
Right.
Have I felt this kind of just the warmth and empathy you have with every single character, everybody's point of view, everybody is treated with sort of intelligence and respect, and every crisis and conflict is absolutely human and true, and I laughed a lot. It's very funny. Very funny.
Without a lot of exaggeration or comic overstatement. The thing is, it's one of these movies, it's scaled exactly right into the reality of these characters' lives, so you get a sense of each one as an individual. I mean, the couple, Julianne Moore and Annette Bening, they're so wonderful, and there's such an interesting contrast of personalities and temperaments.
And not idealized.
Not idealized.
This is not an agenda film of any kind of like heavy-handed way at all.
It's not preaching about them or making them examples of anything. They're parents who love their children, who love each other, who have a flawed, complicated, messy relationship. And into that world comes this wild card, Mark Ruffalo, playing a character sort of similar to the guy that he played in You Can Count on Me.
Yeah,
who's a sort of free spirit, easygoing guy.
And sort of ambiguous motives in some cases and less so in others. But no, it's a wonderful film. And, you know, the one curiosity is that 2 of the best films we've seen this summer are about kind of hinging on a 17-year-old, 18-year-old going off to college, like the daughter here, and like Toy Story 3. And I just love this film, and I hope we talk about it more.
Absolutely.
Coming up next, the Queen and some court jesters will review Helen Mirren in Love Ranch, and Adam Sandler, Chris Rock, and Kevin James in Grown Ups.
To come here in high school late night after we got wasted.
What's wasted?
Wasted, kids, is something that happens when you have a hankering for ice cream.
Well, I want to get wasted. I want to get totally wasted.
Wasted is right. That was a scene from Grown Ups, starring Adam Sandler, Kevin James, David Spade, Chris Rock, and Rob Schneider. And Tony, this is a film where it's a reunion setup where the Adam Sandler character, who is this insufferably smug, not meant to be, but just sort of unexamined smug Hollywood agent who goes back to spend some time, weekend retreat in the woods with his old pals, played by these other guys, Chris Rock among them, Kevin James. And I have to say, this is one of the lazier contraptions I've seen lately. Skip it.
I say skip it too. I mean, I'm amazed that these guys are actually professional comedians, because it was so, it's like the jokes are so bad, lazy is the word, and also mean-spirited. These guys, especially the Sandler character, who is Mr. Perfect. He's a big shot Hollywood agent with a gorgeous wife played by Salma Hayek.
Kind of condescending to spend time with the old gang.
He has good values, too, and he's really a mensch underneath it all, and he's fabulously rich with a hot wife, and he's a great basketball player, and he just spends all the time, like, insulting and ragging on, and in some cases physically assaulting his best pals.
No, it's a crime. It's a crime to see people like Maya Rudolph, for example, you know, who
Maria Bello.
Yeah, all good performers, and Chris Rock's always a pleasure. But anyway, no, thank you.
Oh, just terrible. I mean, I'm actually something of an Adam Sandler fan, and I have to say this one really just.
Oh no, the performers are much better than the material. My God, my God.
None of it's any good. Also in theaters, Love Ranch, starring Helen Mirren and Joe Pesci.
You're my wife. I never touched anybody in our bed.
I'm your business partner. That's all I've ever really been.
Now I know why. Years ago, the first time I saw you in that joint in Fallon, I said, "This girl's for me. You're just like me."
This movie is directed by Taylor Hackford, who's Helen Mirren's husband. It's based on the real-life story of the Mustang Ranch in Nevada. You've got them playing a couple who run this legal brothel, and they're having some marital difficulties. She takes up with a boxer who he's decided to manage. And I have to say, the material on paper looks really promising.
If you had told me that a movie about a set in a brothel that's also a boxing film noir movie was this dull, I just wouldn't have thought it statistically possible.
Yeah, no, I think we agree on giving it a skip it vote. And it started out, it had some of the sleazy energy and quality of a movie from the 1970s. It starts out in 1976, but it just falls flat and gets
very flat script. And I think Helen Mirren can almost play anything, and she could play Nevada, the brothel madam, in a better film, but not this one. No. Coming up next, happy birthday, America. You don't look a day over 233. We salute you with a couple of true blue all-American favorites for your home viewing pleasure. The 4th of July may not make you want to revisit Revolution, starring Al Pacino, or The Patriot with Mel Gibson, but it does make a film lover wonder what's a true blue all-American picture of a different stripe that's worth re-seeing just to celebrate something uniquely American. Tony and I have just the titles for you. Tony, my pick in this category, the most American film I could find, truly, Singing in the Rain.
What a good choice.
Singing in the Rain, it doesn't need me to tout its greatness, and I adore the American musical in many ways, and this film, to me, has the most tightly distilled and explosive brand of American energy and exuberance that I find it endlessly revisitable.
And optimism. I mean, it's about this sort of the fertile American imagination, about the problem-solving, can-do spirit of these artists, and it's also about movies and about Hollywood movies, a great American creation.
It's purely kinetic too, and I love dance-based musicals, especially on screen. And you hardly get better numbers in the world of things like Moses Supposes, Fit as a Fiddle, all these fantastic films. How about you?
Well, my film is very different. It is not a musical, but it's All the President's Men.
It's not a musical.
No, not a musical at all.
The cover-up had little to do with the break-in. It was to protect covert operations and the covert activities involving the entire U.S. intelligence community.
Did Deep Throat say that people's lives are in danger?
Yes.
What else did he say?
He said everyone is involved.
This was a movie, when it came out for me, I was just becoming conscious of politics, and it was shortly after Watergate. It's about the intrigue at the heart of democracy and about how things can go terribly, terribly wrong in a democracy and be set right by the hard work and idealism and just cunning and skepticism of ordinary people, of journalists. It's also a newspaper
it's a great
movie.
No, I love this film. I devoured it when it came out, and it has held up very well every time I've revisited it.
And it's one of those movies that can make, people talking on the phone seem like the most suspenseful, action-packed, fraught kind of thing.
Good pick.
Good movie. Coming up next, can't decide what to see in theaters. Stay tuned for my 3 to see.
They started becoming afraid.
Closed captioning for At the Movies is sponsored by Hotel provided by Park Hyatt Chicago, Chicago's award-winning hotel and luxury dining experience, located in the heart of Chicago's Magnificent Mile on Water Tower Square.
2 swooning melodramas, only one of them with vampires, and a tough-edged documentary on my 3 to see this week. Number 3 is the Twilight Saga Eclipse, the most entertaining chapter yet in this emo-licious teenage melodrama. Number 2 is the Italian film I Am Love, a tale of forbidden love built around a stunning performance by Tilda Swinton. And at number 1, Restrepo, a vivid, uncompromising look at the war in Afghanistan, a topic that could hardly be more timely. It's necessary viewing on this 4th of July weekend.
As is The Kids Are All Right, which doesn't open until next week. It'll expand in July, but clearly, Tony, we love The Kids Are All Right.
Yes,
It just gave me great hope for the future. That's it for now. We'll leave you with a recap of this week's show. Now you can join the discussion by following us on Facebook and on Twitter. Just go to atthemoviestv.com to find out how.
And join us next week for reviews of the animated film Despicable Me with Steve Carell and Predators with Adrian Brody. Until then, we'll be at the movies.